guys, Jenny with onfirefit, and welcome to another episode of Shoe Review. I do a shoe review every once in a while when somebody sends me a pair for me to review, and I received this beautiful pair of similar to candies from the past, and I think they're so adorable. So I'm going to do a shoe review, and just as a disclaimer, I also have a little message that goes with it. I know sometimes people click on my videos that say shoe review and perhaps get a little more than what they bargained for, but welcome to my channel if that is you. And so I do always put a message embedded in my videos because that's who I am. So I will do a review, but I also have that message usually towards the beginning. I'm going to do a little close-up on them, and then we're going to talk about them again later. But as true to form, first let's look at the shoes. Here they are. They are so cute. And these are, let's see if I can show you the brand, Ellie. And they are adorable. I love the platform. It has that candies look with that buckle going across. I do not know how high they are. I did not measure them, but they are comfortable. I am going to do the review again at the end, but just wanted to show you up close. So we will talk again at the end, but let's talk about the message. You know that I am all about metaphors. I love metaphors because they sort of take a thought or a concept or something that you're just trying to get a grip on, and it just makes it super tangible. And so I usually use a lot of metaphors, which is why I always end up with high heels tying into a message. And I notice that most of my videos have a very common theme to them. I don't really play them back, but when I start to go make the thumbnail for the video, I realize how often the similar title comes up, and I'm like, I'm detecting a theme here. So, but I think it's probably common to most of us that we have times in our life, maybe sometimes it feels like maybe every other day, that you're sliding down the slope and you need to be picked back up, right? And so you may have that in each day, you may have that several times in the week, maybe it doesn't happen very often for you. I know sometimes you go through times where you just feel like you're down all the time. Then this is part of our human nature of processing things, I think, and hopefully we can get to a point where we are not constantly up and down. Now, I do notice for myself that I will go through some little mini slumps from time to time where I'm just sort of trying to get a grip on life, or one of my main things that I'm always processing is how to put my message out there in a more effective way, or how to be just more effective at what I'm doing. And so sometimes when you go into that introspection, it can pull you down into a place where you're thinking a lot, and it can make you maybe more critical sometimes than you should be or need to be. Sometimes it's good to a certain extent, especially if you can use that to try to help change things and move forward. But I don't like to get caught in that, because otherwise it does feel like it just sort of drags you down. So for me, what I notice more and more is that the common theme for me, and this is going to sound maybe kind of odd in connection to this thought, but it's radical obedience. For me, in my relationship with God, I notice that when I am radically obedient to God, and what I mean by that is I don't necessarily have to understand exactly why I need to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't have to necessarily feel like it, but when I am radically obedient to Him, I always feel better. And so this metaphor of being radically obedient ties in, I think, in my own weird little way of thinking, to this shoe. So you are sliding down into your slump. And as you do that, if you are prayerful, at least for me, this is what I do. I go into prayer and meditation where I humble myself. I get into a point of saying, okay, I need to be in a position of humility, being humble, so that I can recognize the fact that I am a human, God is God, we are not equals. And when I get into that mode of prayer and meditation, it suddenly, ta-da! Oh, I'm going to be out of the frame. Stand. So to me, it becomes very simple, but it's not easy. I've said that about other things before too, because I think it's interesting how many things can be very simple, but they're not easy, because our human pride and flesh wants so much to figure things out on our own, to take control. And for me, when I realize, you know what, there is so much that is not in my control. There is so much that I don't know the future. All I know is at this moment, in this time, being mindful and praying and following what I believe God is telling me. And I do that because for me, the word of God is my truth, and therefore I base decisions off of that. But I also notice that I get a sense of peace, and when I know that I'm on the right path, and that peace is such a strong guide for me. When I feel very rattled, it's causing me lately to go into a place of pause. And pause is very important because our feelings tend to jar us. And when you react out of a jarred position, it's not always going to turn out as best as it could. So if we knee-jerk reaction everything based on a feeling, it can cause some other issues. So to me, trying to stay in the moment, what am I supposed to be doing right now? How can I be radically obedient right now? And I am not perfect. I do these videos because I'm telling you how I am going through my life. I notice that the people that I love to learn from are ready to admit that they don't have it all figured out and they're not perfect. And I like to learn from all different kinds of people because I think we all have different life journeys and things that bring us to the point where we have learned certain life lessons. My friend who I did the podcast with, the original photographer, he has given me great insights from his journey through his life and some of the concepts and things that he has used to be present and mindful. And we have kind of a different approach on different things, but because we both are introspective and think, and we both want to be like effective with what we do. Sorry, technical difficulties, and they happened, so I had to cut out, and now we're back. So basically what I was trying to say is because we have, even though we have different approaches, I've learned certain concepts about how to be more present and mindful. My other friend, I refer to as the Backstage Hand, but basically has always taught me about the idea of if it is the Lord's will. In fact, I love that phrase because that phrase reminds me that tomorrow is not for me to determine. And always using that idea that if it's the Lord's will, then this will be happen, this will be what I'll be doing. But I like that concept. And I've learned from so many different people about this idea of not being able to have control over everything. Surprise, surprise. And being able to get to that point where you say, okay, a lot of things are out of my hands, but this is what I can do right now. And so the idea for me, when you're sliding down that slope and trying to lift out of it, is for me, it's to get into that mode of prayer, meditation, and being mindful and present in the moment, and how amazing it is when you do that, because it's very freeing. And it reminds you it's not all about you. It's just be humble in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you up. Is always this little plaque that I have in my house that says that very thing: be humble in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you up. And I remember when I first got that, I didn't really understand it. And then I realized, and there's a song also that reminds me of that, that when I got on my knees, that's when I started to fly. And it's very kind of counterintuitive in some ways, but it is actually so liberating. So I think that that's a great thing to leave us with. If you are down in a slump, or if you find yourself in a slump, what can you do in your present moment that will help lift you out of it? For me, it's to become mindful of my place in this world and that I am a child of God. I don't have to know all the answers because I know the one who does know all the answers. And so I just need to tap into him and get myself in the right place and stop trying to take on the world. But I think it just brings us into a beautiful place. You cannot fix what happened yesterday, and maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't even want to, because yesterday maybe brought you to where you are today. And where you go tomorrow has a lot to do with what you choose today. So staying in our present moment is critical to being able to actually move forward. So let's do a little shoe review. What do you think? Okay, thanks for waiting with me through the message. Let's take a closer look, and then I will do a runway walk in as many different environments as I can, since this is a shoe review. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look. Okay, so I have wanted a pair of candies for the longest time. Now, the ones that I had when I was younger were not this tall. And I'm guessing it was Candy's brand. I don't know if they did knockoffs back then of brands, but maybe they did, because we could never afford name brands of anything. It was very rare that we would ever get a name brand. In fact, my mom, I think, would probably tell me, you know, you can have 5 of this shirt or you can have 1 of that. And I'd be like, I want the one with the name brand. I was that kid, but I think we all wanted to fit in at some point in our life, right? So these shoes are really comfortable, I have to say. The across here is sometimes the area that I might have a little trouble with, and I do not have a wide foot. But sometimes that's the part that's the deciding factor on how comfortable it is, and it does not squish into my big toe in that bone area. It's perfect. These are actually a size 7, and I am a 6.5, but this 7 fits me perfectly. Bigger or smaller, not gonna work. So I'm glad. I think that these only came in whole sizes, if I recall. And the person who sent me these for the review, I think, told me they were only in a full size. So if I'm wrong, you can make a comment below. But these are white, obviously. I don't know what this is made of. Somebody can tell me what that is. Does it say the material on there? It does not. Anyway, I wore these to my dinner with my dad and my stepmom and my husband. And I wore them with really nice gray jeans. You saw a picture of that perhaps if you're on some of my platforms. And a white top. And I walked here. Okay, everybody knows probably my Vegas slippery floor story. I did have to walk on a very slippery floor, and I did not slip and slide. So yay for me. And we were at dinner, and I kind of had to go down this like little mini ramp when I was going into the dining area. And then I had to walk back up that little ramp to go to the restroom, and the floor was not carpeted. So it was not challenging. So I thought that is a good thing, because there are certain shoes that I will only wear if I know my husband is going to be holding my hand the whole time, because I'm not sure that I'm not going to fall out of them or something. So that's not a good thing. But these definitely easy to walk in. Would I buy them on my own? 100% yes. And what else? Am I missing anything? Probably just taking a walk. All right, so let's go for a walk. I'm starting with a runway in the house, and very easy to walk in. I think there's like a little rubber grip underneath the ball of the foot, so it does make it pretty easy to walk in, even though they are tall. And I don't feel like I'm gonna slide on this wood floor. Here is on my front walk, and again, not a problem unless your heel goes into a crack like it just did there. But if you're mindful, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you will not let your heel go into a crack that makes you stumble. Okay, and here is a runway down my front walk from a different angle so that you can see. Again, I don't claim to be a runway model. My walk may not be the most exquisite, but I just want to show you how the shoe fits and how it looks. And I know people will ask what different outfits I would wear this with. Jeans, skirts, dresses. I have these leggings on today because this is actually what I was wearing today. So I just kept it on for the shoe review. But yeah, so I think that they're very versatile. This is in my backyard, and sadly those beautiful star jasmine are going to be torn down because they have to redo our fence. So that's really sad because they've been there for so many years. And the last angle here, and they are such fun shoes. I'm very grateful for these. And so I hope that gave you a little idea of whether or not you might want to purchase these shoes. I definitely recommend it. Again, the brand is Ellie. And so today and every day, I hope you're living your life on fire. We'll see you real soon. Thanks for being here.